Okay, now the second update that I have for you is, of course, we're watching Cyril Ramaphosa, and with the developments around the police saga with Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, and that is the KZN. I think he's the provincial police commissioner, if I'm not mistaken, as far as his position. I forgot to check exactly, but if you check out who Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi is, he effectively said that there are already been political interferences as far as police investigations. Now, if you remember in the actual prophecy that I was saying to people that when it comes to this Pala Pala thing, and already people have spoken about the fact that Cyril Ramaphosa looks like he's going to be facing a motion of no confidence at the next parliamentary sitting. And the one thing that I always pointed to, and I always said to people that the reason why Cyril Ramaphosa will be able to beat this Pala Pala thing is because he'll be able to prove that the police were actually compromised. So even his whole Pala Pala case, whether he's guilty or not, at the end of the day, if it's going to be a matter of double jeopardy, meaning that the investigative framing, or the police being compromised in the way that they investigate issues and all of that, that will make it null and void anyway, even if he is guilty, even if you think whatever you want to think about that. So always understand that the process, and of course the actual motivation behind the process is as to what it is, will always be revealed. So catch that hint before his deliberation on Sunday, the 13th of July of 2025 at 7 o'clock before he goes live. That do expect that leading to that, even if he doesn't say that in his speech and when he addresses the nation, that the police are he's going to be able to prove that. That is one thing that this was all leading to. And I was actually telling people that, listen, this whole Nhlanhla, what's his name again? Sorry again. Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi issue is, looks like it's a preemptive strike, that it will lead to Jacob Zuma being arrested. So make no mistakes that was always I was leading to. And I was saying that the whole drops in temperature here in June, July, in the months of winter that we've seen with the rains and everything that has been happening around the country, was God always setting that up. So I'm staying very consistent onto that pulse, that Cyril Ramaphosa not only needed to keep the lights on, he also dually was also kind of looking at the fact that the daggers were out against him from outside, from inside the GNU and even inside the ANC itself, that people were out for him. And then the MK party, where Jacob Zuma also still looks to be wants to control the ANC, even though he's in the opposition party and formed an opposition bloc really towards the ANC and also the government of national unity in this instance. That is something to just be mindful of, that it's a plethora of issues happening, but effectively this is what God has guided as far as Cyril Ramaphosa to be able to just to dance around all of this situation, so that will lead to the fact that for whatever has happened in terms of corruption in the country, and especially looting the state coffers, that there are going to be consequences for that. So Cyril Ramaphosa, I'm not saying will be able to redeem himself and his reputation for whatever it is, but over here, I'm specifically staying on what God's will and what God intends to do through all of this, and why it's come to this point. So let us just expect that there are people that are going to be going down for their state, for their involvement in state capture in this regard. And also the fact that the police were mainly, and it's very much people are just now saying, and people have been saying this for a while, that the investigations and the framing of that have been compromised for a very long time. So we need to just keep praying for the president to just be able to do the right thing. Not only is it just about Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi in this instance, but it's also about the fact that the president as well is just able to stay on top of things, because Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi would have never been able to come out with a story and be able to make such a bold declaration if he didn't get any sort of protection from up there. But of course, I'm glad that South Africans are actually looking and tuning into prayer more than it is about the presidential actual covering up, because people are saying, well, Why is it in this regard, when it comes to Zuma, it's called state capture, but when it came to the ANC and the rest of these cronies and everything, it's not state capture in that case, which is very true, and which is something that I'm just validating. But effectively, God will be doing away with this political system. Cyril Ramaphosa and himself, they'll be pretty much just quitting, and you'll see that there's going to be a whole turnstile of people just leaving, and people for various reasons, mainly down to service delivery, are going to be turning against this ANC, and not only just the ANC, this GNU and this government's system effectively, and they'll be pretty much just resigning for the most part in any case. So I know I'm sorry that if people have been tuning in for a while and saying I'm repeating information, but understand that, be patient. There are people who are new to the to this channel and new to the platform who have not really caught the message and as far as the things of God, and who also need to hear this and understand the developments that we've been staying on for a while and why it's happening at this melting point. So we need to keep praying, people, and keep it locked in on God and what he's doing as far as the nation of South Africa, which I've already stated that it's a mini version or something like, which is likened to what is happening, what he's going to do with Israel, being the light of the world. But South Africa in itself, it has a big part in that, where it's the governance that's going to be coming that is actually going to be resembling the righteousness of Christ. And it's going to go out to certain countries. And the ones I obviously saw first was Italy and India. They're going to be adopting this framework before it goes off everywhere else. I saw it like sporulating around Europe most of the time. But it started with Italy, India, and then it just went all over the world. And that's just how God is working step by step in the system, and why this whole stuff has gone this way. And also, I've also just recently come out with a prophecy. Not many people were able to watch it because it's unfortunately my YouTube channels and everything. There's a little bit of a shadow banning in the sense of this. And I'm just saying that the reason is that for one, I don't know what the actual agenda would be as far as my channel, in the greater scheme of things. But usually it's my US sort of prophecies that normally get stifled. But in this instance, I'm starting to see that it's even the South African ones. And yeah, I don't know who in the higher ups has started pretty much getting on the censorship and all of this. But just notice that there's the prophecies where I spoke about the fact that the provincial lines, as far as the provinces, the 9 provinces that were done or drawn up by the ANC, are going to start falling away. Mainly down to the fact that people are going to start choosing their own areas and determining which zones they're going to be part of, because it's conducive towards the whole agenda of optimum services and efficient service delivery. That is the chief of that. And then the other one was about the fact that one must just look out for the financial sector crimes, especially when it comes to card skimming and things of the sort, that just avoid certain bank tellers and bank machines at these big public events, which is something that I've just make notion about. And that's something you should also make note of, that when it comes to state capture and all these consequences of state capture and this police being compromised. Look out for that. It's something I've been talking about a little bit, and I've been going off with these playlist channels that I've been staying on about. So I think why I'm connecting all of this is the fact that these banks and everything are pretty much just making sure that because they advertise through these platforms, that my main messages and the prophecies around that are remaining stifled. That could be one of the reasons that they, Google and all that, it's a business, and they need to ensure that they also keep their quote unquote lights on, so to play on that, and they just pay the bills. So yeah, unfortunately that's the case. So please, people, if you can afford to ensure to actually share, if you may feel like you're led to share, can you share this so that people and the masses can just get this messages and get everything done? Of course, once you're comfortable with the material over here, I'm sure God will lead you to do the right thing and to ensure that you're not the only one hanging on to this, that other people need to also hear this, and also ensure that they are locked in on God's spirit, because we're going through a very, very tough time here in South Africa, and a tough transition is up ahead. So the only way that one can turn to is to Christ at this stage. And that's the only reason the South Africa will be saved, is because of that whole transition to the Lord Jesus Christ at this point, and the edifying which is actually another word of just saying the building up of the body of Christ.